Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another exciting episode of the BLT podcast, where we brew fresh perspectives to serve up some warm conversations. I'm your host, Brandon, coming to you straight from the heart of Washington, D.C., surrounded by the bustling energy of both the city and the inspiring minds of the Archer Fellowship. Today, I'm thrilled to have two special guests joining me around the kitchen counter. You see all the cables and everything. It's hilarious. Y'all should be here in person.
It's interesting.
I'm thrilled to have two guests. We have got Zachary and we've got Natalie. So hello.
Nice to meet you.
Howdy.
We're all three of us are Archer Fellows living in DC, and we're just going to share part of our world with each other in like a conversation and with y'all. We've got some cool things coming up. In this episode, we're going to be diving deep into some recipes for finding success and navigating the bittersweet test of failure as young professionals. And we're going to explore some of the rich diversity of our upbringings, how culture has shaped us, and how these elements are going to influence our visions for the future.
Right.
Because the BLT is gathering, it's not going to be complete without stirring the pot. And so we're going to ask some difficult questions and maybe tackle some controversial opinions. So grab your favorite cup, settle in, and let's get this conversation brewing.
Goodness. Okay.
This is fun, right?
Yeah, this is really fun.
I'm having a great time.
I'm already excited.
I know. Well, Zach, start us off. Who are you?
So my name is Zachary. I'm from Dallas, Texas. I went to Plano East Senior High School. There was 3,000 kids in my graduating class, which was really crazy. Never saw the same people every day. It was like a big city in my school. There was like 10 or 15 buildings, which was really crazy. I went to St. Louis University my freshman year. It was really small. There was only like 6,000 kids in the entire college. Did not really like it there. But, interesting city. I feel like now I'm at UTD and we get a lot of calls. She almost spilled her apple juice everywhere. But we get a lot of calls every day about, man, there's like a phone call failure or like an internet failure in this building. But when I was in St. Louis, like every day was, yo, some kid just got robbed at gunpoint.
What?
Yes. Like this is like an everyday thing. And it was St. Louis. My freshman year that I was there, they were ranked number 1 in the nation for gun violence. So yeah, think of like a kid coming from the suburbs of Plano going to St. Louis, where it's literally just like a little bubble of like a 10-minute campus. But yeah, anyways, came back home after my freshman year, decided to work for a little bit. So I became a project manager in construction. Had no idea how to change a toilet, but they gave me like blueprints, and they gave me I had my boss obviously who helped me out, and they gave me the contracts for all the subcontractors that they use, and they said, okay, go build these apartment complexes. So for about
wait. The way you put it, it's just like you were like walking around the corner like, hey son, take these blueprints.
No, it was kind of sort of like that. So basically what happened was I was in finance and accounting, so I wanted to do accounts receivable at their construction firm. So I was there for like 3-4 months. I loved it. And then they're like, hey, we need some help out in the field. Like this guy, he needs a lot of help. A lot of his, subordinates quit on the job. So they were like, would you want to help? I had no clue what I was doing. And I was like, yeah, sure. Like, what is it? And they're like, oh, you just need to walk around, take a tally of some things, count some doors. I was like, yeah, I'm good at counting. I love counting. And so went out there, and then my boss gave me the set of blueprints, which was like a 75-page book of the mechanical, the electrical, everything. And so I was like, man, this is kind of crazy. So YouTube University for 6 or 7 months, and finally kind of understood what different things were, how to change a toilet finally.
Wait, 6 or 7 months is crazy. You said that like it was a blip. That's half a year.
Yeah.
You're grinding for this.
Yeah, I was grinding. Literally the only thing that I was watching on YouTube was about construction. So it was really interesting. Learned a lot about construction. Ended up doing that for 3 years. I was traveling throughout the entire US. They paid for my hotel. They gave me a nice big truck. So yeah, I was doing that for 3 years. Finally decided I wanted to go back to school. So I was doing online school like for the last like year and a half. And that was pretty tough because I was just like in different states like almost every other month. But yeah, ended up doing that, transferred to UTD, spent a year at UTD. Now I'm here in DC, so that's why I'm here. I'm a finance and accounting double major and a political science minor. So yeah, have a lot of different directions that I've kind of gone in. So I'm just waiting for that moment, I guess in the next 5 or 6 years where everything kind of comes together and it makes sense as to like why I did, and you know, why God put a lot of different things in my life. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
A little bit. Holy cow.
All right, sorry, 5 minutes.
I knew like on the surface level, like 50% of that story.
Yeah.
And it was just like, and by no, I was like, oh yeah, Zach did like finance and like something related to real estate. And now he's here. That's incredible.
It wasn't like real estate what people think real estate is, like, oh, investing in real estate and doing. It was like building real estate. Yeah. So that was also interesting because we did a lot of like Section 8, a lot of FHA housing. So I left St. Louis to kind of get away from that environment and then ended up back into it. So like I think the first day on this job that I had in Waco, we were doing a property right behind Baylor Housing, and this is kind of gonna go in a dark direction. So
dark. We like dark.
Yeah, just forgive me, but
we're stirring.
Yeah, this is exactly. Stirring already. So there was not a story I actually saw with my own eyes. We were supposed to renovate this one apartment complex, and we walk up in the morning. Bullet holes are everywhere on this door, and it wasn't there the night before. And we walk in, and this guy's like, basically his wife. Okay, let me start this over. So there was a bunch of shooting the night before. This husband comes out to the living room to see like if everyone is okay, and he doesn't have kids, but it's just like his wife and his mom that's in the house. His wife was sitting by the front door, watching some TV, and she had like fallen asleep or whatever, and I guess he thought that she didn't hear the gunshots. So he was just like, okay, I don't want to mess with her, whatever. So he goes back into his bedroom, and next morning wakes up. We show up to go and basically renovate their apartment, start all the renovations. And he goes and tries to wake up his wife.
No.
His wife had been shot through the front window, and like a bullet had hit her in the back, couple bullets had hit her in the back. And she just bled out on the couch.
Oh my God, that's horrible.
So she died, and we had to load that couch onto the back of a trailer.
Oh my God, Zach.
Yeah, take it to the dump. It was really, really tough, but I think I was there at that project for maybe a year, and you would see the craziest things. I would have people come into my truck, like thinking that they could steal it. They would just like walk in, not know that I was in there. I had one guy who like just like hopped in. And I'm like looking at him, and I'm like, "Can I help you?" He's like, "Oh, sorry, I just thought that there wasn't anyone in here." And I was like, "That's not really what you're supposed to say." Yeah. But even then, like, even if I wasn't in here, like, what are you doing in here? So yeah. Sorry, that was kind of a little.
No, don't be
sidetrack.
sorry. That's insane. That's like horrible.
Yeah, it was horrible. But I think there's just like the environment that we were kind of working in, so it became very, very normalized after a little bit. And I was also kind of used to it from St. Louis. Yeah. St. Louis was also kind of scary. But yeah, that went really dark.
So what led you? I mean, you can be brief if you want, or whatever. Just what led you to DC then? Like after you went back to school? Like,
what led me to DC? So I've always wanted to do law. So since I was a little kid. So when I was a little kid, my mom and I would go to India a lot, and mainly it was just like to visit her parents. But every time we went to India, we would stay in an orphanage. Every single trip, we would stay in a different orphanage for like 3 to 4 days, and we would live there. And most of the orphanages were like disabled kids with no arms, kids with no legs, kids who couldn't see, whatnot. And so we'd spend time with a lot of kids, and I loved kids like from the beginning. So it was really, really fun. I just like that transitioned into me working for this organization called CASA throughout middle school and high school. And I don't know if y'all know
Casa.
about Casa.
Wait, I know Casa.
Yeah, shout out Casa. Casa is
my like really close friend that did Archer last semester worked for Casa here in DC.
Oh yeah.
And she like changed her life.
Yeah.
I think
Changed my
Casa
life.
is the theta philanthropy, but that's so embarrassing.
Yeah.
That's what I think of it as.
Yeah.
I think it might be it though.
No,
Court appointed special advocate.
Yes.
Yeah.
That organization changed my life. I will like shout them out every day. Everyone that I worked with there. So I worked at the McKinney location.
It is.
Yeah.
Casa.
Yeah, it's called Casa of Collin County. That was the location that I was at. So I worked there throughout middle school and a little bit throughout high school. And basically what they do is when a child is taken out of their homes by CPS, they assign them like an advocate. And usually the advocate's like a volunteer. Like you have to be an adult. I think you have to have either graduated college or like be working full time, but not both. I mean, so they would assign them an advocate. This advocate kind of takes them to all of their like medical appointments, their soccer games, their court appointments, like everything. They're basically like a second parent. And then they also assign them an in-house lawyer. So I was like working behind the in-house lawyer for a little bit. And I would see also some kids over there that, you know, were going through really, really tough times. And it was fun because I also got to like, I guess, organize the visits between the kids and the parents. So it was fun seeing the kids like interact with their parents after not having seen them for like weeks and weeks and weeks. And then we would go to the court cases, and some of them were a little bit tough, but it was a really good organization. And that led me to being a teen attorney at our municipal court. So so this was like a really cool program that I started in 7th grade as well. And I started as a juror, but you can become either a juror or an attorney. And attorneys are usually only like juniors or seniors. And it was at the Plano Municipal Court. And what it was is if you're a teenager in the Plano area, or if you get a ticket in the Plano area, if it's like a misdemeanor ticket, like you were fighting, stealing, speeding tickets, crashes, whatever it was, you could get it expunged off your record. But you would have to plead guilty before you went into like the teen court process. And you would go through this entire court process where it's like literally a trial. And the jury is made up of teens. The attorneys are all made up of teens. And they're arguing this case in front of a real judge. And you're not determining if you're guilty or not. You're determining what your punishment is going to be. So
because
that
you've already decided, you already had to plead guilty.
Right.
Okay.
So each misdemeanor was like a different set of service hours. So like 24 to 44 service hours was like speeding and like whatever, crashes or whatever. So the jury would go back after you make your case, you cross-examine the witness, and the jury would go back and make their deliberate on what punishment they would want to give you. Then they would come out, read the punishment, and the person who, you know, did the misdemeanor would have to finish that in 90 days for them to get it expunged off their record. So that was really cool as well. So I did that, went to college, didn't really want to do like government or political science. I was really, really interested in business. I was like watching Billions at the time, which is like,
oh my God.
Yeah, oh my God, I love that show. But a lot of business shows. So yeah, and now I wanted to apply to Archer because I'd heard about it through our pre-law department, and it sounded really, really cool. And a lot of people that have done Archer have told me that it's a very, very close-knit family, which I quickly came to find out when I got here. And that everyone's just super helpful, and every single person that's gone through Archer is doing something so great, like so amazing. So I saw that, and I was like, LinkedIn stalked like everyone, and I was like, I want to be like that. So that's why I ended up at Archer.
Well, shoot.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're here.
Long-winded
I'm sure like a lot of people, like Chris staying over there. You can have a seat if you want. You're kind of making me.
Christopher, join.
Yeah. Anyway.
The camera's right there, by the way.
Or not. Yeah. Wait, put your head. The camera is there.
Yeah. Say hello.
Hey.
Welcome.
Thanks for first of all, thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Like, second of all,
yeah.
Thanks for doing this. Like this is
no problem.
Like I think the most important part about my podcast, or just like being able to talk to people, is for people that think that they come from an unconventional background, or maybe isn't like a liver of the most conventional lifestyle,
right,
can be successful. Because a lot of times, like, we see those people as like the center of our, like, oh my God, like,
right.
Kim Kardashian, she was born rich, she's like always rich. I don't know, like,
right.
Yeah.
No, I know what you mean. Like I've known some really crazy stories. Like, you know, there's a kid that's at Harvard Law. Actually, LSAT Demon. Spivey Consulting did a little podcast with him. This guy went to the Army, came back home, was homeless for a little bit,
Wow.
became like a meth head. And after a while, he got clean through this organization, went back to school, ended up at like the top, like it was like the 140th ranked law school in the nation. And then after his freshman year, after his like 1L, ended up transferring to Harvard.
Wow.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Guy went from like being a druggie on the street to being at like one of the best schools in the nation, in the world.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So you're telling me I can take a detour?
I'm not saying actively seek it out, but everyone thinks that once you experience like some sort of adversity or some hardship, that it's over. It's really not.
Dude.
Like you have your whole life in front of you, and a lot of the times, like the smallest problems can take up the biggest amount of space in your mind. So yeah,
Hell of a way to get us started
Profound.
off.
I know,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
I
So
know.
pretty cool, but.
I'm gonna come back to the whole Casa thing in a
Yeah,
second,
let's
because
talk about Natalie.
There's some parallels there, but yeah,
Yeah.
I want to give Nat the floor.
Oh
Yeah.
my god. Okay, well, yeah, that's not your typical elevator pitch in like the best way. I was expecting you to come on here and be
Yeah.
like, "Oh, name, major, hometown." You started off with Plano. I was like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I know Plano." We quickly got into the crime of St. Louis, and I was like, "Wait,
Yeah,
I'm out of
took
my,
a little
I'm out of
turn.
my element here." But yeah, I'll introduce myself, and then I actually do want to get back to all of this because I think this is such an interesting opportunity where you just like talk without limits. Because
Yeah.
like Brandon said, I had heard bits and pieces of that story, but definitely not to the extent of like I'm sure there's even more that we haven't uncovered.
Right.
So I'm so excited to do that. But
Right.
hello world, BOT. I'm Natalie. I am a junior at UT Austin. I major in business and sustainability studies with minors in management information systems and business and public policy. Mouthful. I'm originally from the DC area, kind of. I was born in Richmond, Virginia. Me and both of my siblings. I have a sister that's a year younger than me and a brother that's 2 years younger than her. So we were all born here, but we all moved to the suburbs of Texas when I was 3, and I've lived my whole life there, which is why I wanted to come to Archer, actually, when I was a senior in high school and I was writing about, like, my college applications. In my application to UT Austin, I wrote about the Archer program as, like, something that I wanted to do. So I've known that I was going to be here for a long time, and by known I mean just like manifested and hoped that I would get in.
So you knew about Archer before
Yeah.
college. Okay, that's
So
cool.
I only applied to schools out of state with the exception of UT Austin just because I was from there. I was like, I would hate it to go to school 30 minutes from where I grew up. College is about growth, the new opportunities, X, Y, and Z. Literally, you just explained like how so many different experiences in your life have led to like making you into who you are today, and I really wanted to like seek that out. So I only applied to schools that were outside of Texas, and then it was 2020, and the world was very uncertain, and
Yeah.
I didn't get to tour any schools, and just like financially, just very unstable time. Also, I just said this, but I'm the oldest of 3 and we're really close together, so just like for the sake of my family, it definitely made the most sense for me to go in state, but I knew that I would not want to spend 8 semesters just in my same hometown. Like, not only am I from Texas, but I'm from Austin, and so I just knew about Archer as a way to like try and explore something new. But
Right.
I've been able to like been very fortunate to be able to leave my hometown. Like I mentioned this earlier, actually no, because I wasn't on yet, but we mentioned this earlier. I lived in Denmark for a summer, so I've spent time like living in Europe. I've also worked in Europe because I worked in France for an environmental nonprofit, so I can talk about that more. But really the reason why I was like drawn to Archer is because I see it as like the side quest of a lifetime.
It's
No,
so
it
interesting.
is.
Yeah.
It really is.
At least, like, I know Brandon and I have talked about this, but as somebody who isn't, like, typically a government or, like, international relations type of person, I'm so excited to, like, be in a world like this where I'm with people who this is, like, an entire subgenre of American culture, like, DC experience, especially as a young intern.
Yeah.
I was just really excited to try and, like, do something like this with little to no stakes because I, like, you know, I don't have a mortgage, I don't have children, I don't know when else in my life. Like, my roommate right now, Chloe, she works in the White House. One of her fellow White House interns is 30. He has kids and a husband living in like Wisconsin or something, and he just simply picked up his life and is interning in the White House for a semester. I would never, like, I cannot see my life being in a way where I'm just 30 and I have like
Yeah, that's
can
crazy.
let go of my strings like that. So
Yeah.
while I can, I just like want to be here and make the most of the city.
Yeah. Well, that's really cool. I do definitely want to hear about your experience in Europe. That's like, you don't really get that many people that have done that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, this is cool because although it hasn't been planned this way. Like I'm like purposely seeking out people that are like not political science, but like a couple weeks ago interviewed Drew and Jeremiah.
Yeah.
And those are also like some of the most like eclectic kind of like personalities
Yes, love
here
those
at
guys.
Archer. You
definitely
know, like,
not government majors.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
no, no.
you know, like
Yeah.
Drew like journalism and writing, like killing it at Al Jazeera
Oh,
apparently,
yeah.
like running the show over there in some ways. And then Jeremiah, who's hilarious in and of
Yeah.
himself, like philosophy, political science, pre-med, biology, whatever add all the other words behind his name. And then you've got like sustainability and like working in cleaning up dead body trash. Like,
that's like a simple way to put it.
I know.
Something like that.
And I'm also like really interested, I don't really want to get into it that much, but like the way that the Archer program like works in finding these people, like I want to know how much of these stories that they heard or didn't hear but still like nailed it by like letting people like us get to work together.
I would say probably didn't hear. Like,
exactly.
I mean, a lot of us, I would be surprised if Archer was the first time we had done like an interview process, whether it be for a job or a org or just something like that. These people that are here are relatively polished, like they know what to do. But I don't think that, at least in my conversation, even just my intro right now, I would really be surprising if what the Archer program thinks they're looking for is diverse stories. They probably think they're looking for students with diverse interests. And those are sometimes the same thing, but not always. So I would say it's probably more of a coincidence than they realize that, like, the people who are here, like, yes, they're accomplished and, like, yes, they're bright, but they're not necessarily as, like, vast as they probably give us credit for. Like, they just, in Archer's mind, it's like, we're going to pick kids that are going to be successful in DC.
Yeah.
But the reality of like a lot of the fellows is that we choose to be in DC, but we would hopefully be successful anywhere because we're just the type of people that like have determination and grit and like honestly have a lot of like big world values. I think that's the thing that I like most about like the DC space and about Archer is that everybody here, in addition to having like their own personal passions, has like values that are like overreaching. And at least for me, like being surrounded typically by business people whom I love and adore, it's really about like the grind, and the grind is awesome, but it's just like working so hard and not really working for anything. Almost everyone in DC is working for something that's like bigger than themselves. And I think Archer can see that in the people it admits.
No, that's so true. And I can kind of resonate with what she said. Like, I don't think they were really trying to pick like a diverse population, but everyone here I feel like has very, very diverse interests.
Yeah, for sure.
Like we have like one guy named Jake who is, man, he knows everything about defense. Like,
oh my God,
super big defense guy. Then Julian is like a big like foreign relations guy. And then you have like Jeremiah who's trying to do pre-med. There's like 3 people who are already in med school in here. A lot of people going to law school, of course. Some people going to consulting. So everyone has like different perspectives on life because of our different interests. But like together, I think we all kind of want the same things, which is like we just want to make a difference. We want to be successful. We want to work hard. And I think everyone can really like relate to each other on that note.
Which is poetic, right? Because like when you're trying to build a team of leaders, like I interviewed the president of the Kennedy Center last week before, and I was asking her.
By the way, that's amazing. Let's take a moment to pause and be like, intern.
You said that very casually.
Me and the president of the Kennedy Center.
Lower hanging fruit because like, not high hanging fruit, but because like I first reached out to like Jeff Bezos. And Jeff Bezos' assistant was like, "Oh my God, he'd love to talk about leadership, but he's really busy right now."
Okay.
Reached out to like the secretary of the Smithsonian, and the secretary of the Smithsonian's like, "I can't meet with you in person, but I'd love to answer some email questions." So I interviewed Deborah Rutter, who's the president of the Kennedy Center. She comes from like a very huge background, especially like in performing arts and whatever that niche zone. But I asked her about like leadership and like building a team of people. And how like my own view of leadership is being able to empower people to one, like develop themselves, but also to like farm future leaders from that empowerment. And so there's the kind of leaders that come in, and we see it all the time, like movies, TV show. Like for some reason right now I'm thinking about the movie Vice with Dick Cheney, who was vice president of the United States.
Never seen it.
I also haven't seen it.
You should watch it. It's very interesting. And
I know who Dick Cheney is, though.
He essentially came in to the vice presidency with the whole idea and ability to puppet not only George Bush but the United States military and just in general. Like he was very much the puppet master. And the guy that spoke to us last week from Al Jazeera had talked about how his role. I don't want to get into the weeds, but he was supposed to sell the war on Iraq, and the way he did that was he would interview and kind of be the liaison for all the major news outlets in Qatar as the invasion was happening and sell the war to them. And so the way that would happen was Dick Cheney and his team would leak something to the New York Times that's supposed to be from a really reputable source. The New York Times would publish something on it. And then they would have a press conference, and Dick Cheney's like, "Oh, I don't really like the New York Times, but if they're saying it's true, then it's true," even though he himself was the one that was leaking it. And then after that, their team would go straight from the White House, send messages to Qatar and say, "These are the talking points today because of X, Y, and Z and what was transpired in the media." And so like there was a direct line of basically his leadership, his ideas coming straight from the horse's mouth in a weird roundabout way. And that was his style of leadership. But there's many other styles of leadership, is being able to use your skills to develop other future leaders, and kind of like the Democratic style, which was the fanciest like aside of me, I guess, talking about that, which is very basic. And she was just talking about how it's really important for her to build a group of people that see the world through like different lenses, because and I think this is even like really relatable to how our politics work, as angry as we get with it, is if you put a group of people that all agree in a room together, yes, you're going to do what you need to do, but you are going to fail. Because you're not thinking about what you're not thinking about, if that makes sense.
It usually doesn't end well.
And so having a group of people that are really well outspoken and come from like diverse backgrounds and have their own stories and see the world through their own lenses, they're going to find those things that we aren't considering first off. And so whatever does happen, whatever progress does happen, is like super flushed out. And I thought that was like really interesting. And I think Archer is, whether purposely or just how it happens, is doing the same thing, which I think is really cool. And leads me to kind of like the next kind of topic here. As we are all developing to be leaders in whatever our field is going to be, whether you're going to go to law school, and I don't know, maybe pick up the pieces from where you left off with CASA kind of related advocacy, or, you know, sustainability or business or whatever it is that we're all going to do, is us mapping out our future with Archer in mind and then beyond, but at the same time not having any idea of what's to come. Like, we're going to start with you, I guess.
Okay.
You know, because you went to Europe for a while. Like, was that like a fun thing? Was that planned? And then how are you pulling your strings with everything else that's going around you? I don't know, to map out your future. Like, how does that work?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll answer your question in two parts. The first will be about like Europe and what I learned from it, and then the next will be about like how I am mapping my strings, as you say. But the overall, like the short answer, TLDR, is I ask myself that question every day, Brandon.
Me too.
Don't know.
We all do. We all do.
And
that's the trick here.
I know everyone says that. I know every adult is like, oh, I still ask myself at 50 years old what I'm going to be doing when I grow up. Like, I get that it's a cliche, but I feel like I, more than most, or maybe I'm just more vocal about it, I'm extremely anxious about the fact that I don't have a set path. But I don't know. I'm very comfortable with the fact that it's a winding road. And I know that I don't have like a dream city or a dream job, or like if I don't accomplish this in my life, I'll feel like a failure. I mean, actually that's not true, but it's more of like in a value sense rather than like in a title or like a salary. So it is like a winding road, and I get that, but I do need to make some preliminary decisions, and it feels like the window is closing. So, you know, happy to provide some advice to the podcast about that, but it's advice that I need to take myself as well. But back to the original point, Europe. I studied abroad in Denmark my freshman summer, and it was absolutely amazing. I think one of the coolest parts is that when people talk about like Europe, I feel like Denmark does not normally grace the top of the list of like travel destinations. People are like, oh, I want to go to Santorini, I want to go to Rome, like I don't know, more Mediterranean, like touristy type of places. Not that people don't travel to Denmark, they do, but it's cold, it's small, and it's like Scandinavian kind of. It's not, I don't know. To me, it was extremely random, and the only reason that I went is one, because I got a scholarship to go, and two, because I got off the wait list, and it was like a program with only other people from my major. And so I'm already in a really small major at UT. There was 31 of us, and unlike your typical study abroad program, we were all already knew each other because we all had classes together. Granted, it's not like, oh, me and my besties. I actually didn't go with anybody from like my closest friend group, but it wasn't like meeting people from all different nationalities, all different countries, all different even like colleges in the US. So that was very interesting because it was like I got very close. It was almost like a pledge class. Like I got really close with the people that I was there with because we all lived together. But I thought the onus was really on me to like take the most of the international aspect of that experience and not just have it be like an extended semester of what my life is like at UT Austin.
Right.
And so while I was there, I was living in Denmark. I got to travel on the weekends because it's so cheap, like, you know, like Ryanair, EasyJet. Though never actually did Ryanair, but EasyJet and Welling.
I love the memes and how they buy into their own memes.
The memes are good.
Yeah.
No, and that's like a self-aware brand. EasyJet is just as bad though, just as cheap, just as like smushed. But you're 19 in Europe. What are you gonna do? Like, you're gonna be balling on a budget. So I got to visit Spain, Switzerland, the Netherlands, Germany, and I met up with my family in Italy at the end. And that was like absolutely amazing, especially because some of that time was solo travel. Like for Spain and Switzerland, I went by myself. I was meeting up there with people I knew, but that was definitely like, I don't know, I had to grow up, be an adult, do things like that. My family was so convinced I wouldn't be able to do it, which is ironic because, I don't know, I'm the oldest daughter. I feel like people would be able to guess that I'm the oldest daughter, but normally that comes with like the stereotype of responsibility. And I don't know if it's my family just pulling my leg or they actually believe it, but they were like, you will not be capable of like doing this by yourself. And
I mean, traveling a new country at 19 is also
that's a little ballsy.
A little crazy. I don't know.
I would be scared.
Yeah, I have a little sister who's that age right now, and my dad would never let her do that.
Yeah.
So kudos to your parents.
Yeah, I mean, also I'm the oldest, so like maybe you are clearly very accomplished and like responsible, so they look to you as like a model, but my parents just didn't really have a roadmap. And not only am I the oldest daughter, but I'm the oldest cousin, grandchild, like out of everyone. Like I am like the first one of like our generation. So anyways, all that to say, an amazing experience, but I think one of the best and most unexpected things that I took away from that experience was more pride in being American, which is strange because I have a lot of critiques about America. That's why I'm in DC. I think that a lot of things are like going poorly, but I want to fix it. And I think Denmark, especially a place that's consistently so amazing at sustainability, which is my interest, those people are always ranked like the happiest in the world, like the wealthiest, things like that. What I realized is that, I mean, you can just look at a map and see this, but the reason why everything is so effective there is because it is so homogenous and so small. Obviously, those people are all going to agree when there's like 6 million of them and the country is so small, like smaller than a U.S. state. That's smaller than Houston. Houston has like 8 million people. And so, like a lot of things are going wrong here, and there are something to be said for like how well the system is functioning, which is an entirely separate topic. But I came back from that trip being like so grateful that I've been exposed to like so much diversity and so much like animosity in my day-to-day life, because it pushes me to like want to hustle. Those people in Denmark, they're like super chill, and I'm very happy that their society's like been set up that way for them. But like in America, I feel like it's very hard to like be relaxed if you care about like the state of the world. And I'm glad that I grew up with that and that I grew up around people that are like wanting to make a difference, just because I feel like Europe is, their like most stressed out ages are like behind them. Whereas like I feel like our time is now. And so that was definitely something that I did not expect, to come back being like, oh yeah, like I miss like the glamour and I miss like just like, I don't know, being young and traveling in Europe. Like that's an amazing thing, but I don't want my life to be that. I want my life to be this. I want to be in DC. I want to work. I want to make a difference. I want to make it better. So that's that.
That's cool. That's really cool, actually.
That was a really cool way how that all tied into like, not only you wanting to come to DC, but like, yeah, most people, I don't want to say most, that's generalizing, but yeah, a lot of people were like, oh my God, like Europe has got it figured out. Like they're where we need to be. And there's a lot of things I think to admire, but there's certainly a lot of things that like are not applicable, or I don't mean, not even in the political sense. It's just like, it's not the same situation. Like 320 million people from all sorts of backgrounds across like 4,000 miles of land, you know, in either direction. Like there's a lot more than meets the eye.
What works for one nation will not work for the other nation. I think it was like the Salvadorian president that just said that. Yeah. So another really cool perspective on things. But that's so cool. Do you think that like going to Europe like changed your perspective on like your career and like what you wanted out of your career?
Yes, but I would say the thing that has changed the most about like informing my career aspirations has definitely been like my time here. I think the thing that Europe showed me the most is, granted, I was studying abroad, but like lots of abroad, not as much studying. Although I do, I do remember at one point like working for my classes, like, God, I can't believe they're making me do school, like in my school program.
Yeah, this is vacation.
But I, like you, have it. No, it kind of was, especially because I was with people who I already knew, which I didn't realize how much that would change my experience going into it. But like, I see that as a time where I made like amazing memories with like amazing friends. I did not really see it as a time where I was like working on bettering myself or like informing my future. It was more just about like living in the present, which is great. I don't think you always need to be like the next thing, because then you're going to feel unsatisfied. But I think the main thing that I took away from like my career aspirations in regards to Europe is just that the world is so big. And this is a really like low hanging topic, but when you're me and you're a business sweat and you've been surrounded by people who are telling you that the only 3 options in life are banking, consulting, or tech, being in Europe and even seeing people do those same fields, but like in a European type of way, like I just think that because I have a lot of diverse interests and I don't really know how to make the most like effective difference, keeping your mind open and your options open, and that like you're always young and you always have time to change. It's only a cliche because it's true. And I think that you are like a really great example of this, both of y'all actually, because you do the things that you've wanted for yourself in life, even if you never had like a North Star, you're always just like working on generally being better and generally being like, I don't know if better is the right word. You're working on improving yourself, but what that target is can change. And so just spending time in other cultures, Europe included, but could be said for anything around the world, could even be said from going to Texas to DC. You just spend time with people who are unlike yourself, and you realize that most everybody just wants the same thing. They just want to be happy. They just want to be stable.
Right.
There's many different ways to achieve that goal.
Yeah.
It's not only the ways that you've been told.
Yeah. I think a lot of people do get stuck on, they have like a whole plan of what they're going to do within the next year, the next 5 years. And if things don't really go that way, it kind of like deters them from the path, and they don't really know what to do from that point. But I do think it is very healthy to, I always had 5-year plans. Always. I think like from like 7th grade, my dad would always make me do 5-year plans, and I hated them in the beginning. But then as I got older...
Like, why did he make you do them?
Why? I was a little bit more focused on video games than I was on school in 7th grade. And so he wanted me to kind of be a little bit...
you started doing your teen attorney thing in 7th grade.
Yeah, but I was like
so that's a lie.
Yeah, I was very, very interested in video games. I also was a huge musician in 7th grade. Just my whole life I was a huge musician. But yeah, he would try to make me be a little bit more introspective about where I wanted to go in life. And as I got older, I realized that some of the things that I would like detail in my 5-year plan, like they're not going to go according to the plan. And
like what?
So I wanted to be a lawyer. I was like, I want to graduate in 4 years directly out of undergrad or directly out of high school. I want this, and this internship. And if I don't get this internship, in the beginning, I was like, if I don't get this internship, everything's over. But it's not. It's not like that at all.
I'm done.
Yeah, I'm done.
My life is over.
Yeah, but like you said, like having a North Star, the most important thing. Like you may not know how you're going to get to that North Star, and you don't even have to have it figured out. But as long as you have that North Star, you have that goal, I think it's amazing. I had 5-year plans. I just had dinner with a buddy who just moved over here. He's my dad's college friend's son.
That's cute.
He was talking to me about 5-year plans, 10-year plans, and he pulls out his notebook. He's like, yeah, this is my 28-year plan.
You're lying.
I was like, what?
This is a real friend that you have for real?
It's a real friend that I have. Yeah, he's doing consulting at UI.
I bet this man is younger than 28 years old.
He is younger than 28 years old.
He has more time planned in advance than he has currently lived on Earth.
He does. Yeah.
Insane.
Yes, he does. And very successful guy. He grew up not necessarily the best student, but then he went to UT Dallas. And I guess a lot of people that go to UT Dallas are like, this is like a horrible school, but I want to make something out of myself. It's not a horrible school. It's a great school.
UTD is a great school.
Shout out.
Yeah.
But a lot of the kids that grew up in Dallas that went to UT Dallas they think a little bit less of it, which I don't know why. It's a great school. He ended up doing really well throughout college, and he's very, very organized with his life. He has like a certain like goal for every year, but it's not like if he doesn't get it, it's not the end of the world. But his end goal is to be a senator. Hopefully that happens, manifesting it. But he's in tech consulting right now, and he wants to be like a senator, which is like, I never knew he was into like government policy and all of that. So it's just cool. Like you think that you're planning your life in a certain way, and then you see other people who are making like 28-year plans.
Wait, but I would like to say, I actually think that that's fine to make a 28-year plan, make a 50-year plan. It's more about like when you tie so much of your self-worth to that, of it going wrong, and you aren't able to pivot and you aren't able to adjust. Like something that I really need to improve about myself is actually make goals so that I know that I'm reaching them.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a middle ground in there between like a simple goal and a 28-year plan.
Yeah.
But if your friend is like flexible and like can still bounce back from hardships, and the plan is like more of a guiding force than like a strict list.
Right. No, and I think that was the main point, is like having that North Star. Like I think for me as well, like I had a North Star of like, oh, I want to go to law school. And I was like, oh, I'm going to go do my undergrad in 4 years, get like a couple good business internships. And I ended up like doing something completely different, but I'm still going to get to that North Star. It's just not the way that I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. My life plan has changed like 7 times since I even started the podcast in like September, October. Like it's changed like 2 or 3 times because of Archer. And I think I'm very comfortable with that idea. It stresses me out. We had this conversation, like not knowing like where to begin and what to do. But I think I'm increasingly finding the merit in like, no matter what you start with or like the ways that you've kind of like managed to meander to different life events, like you're learning, like that is a positive experience. Like whether or not living in St. Louis was like the best part of your life for all of the bad reasons, like you learned something from that experience. And like, you know, I'm going to say the same thing. Like even just going to Europe and it not being like as amazing or like, oh my God, I'm going to be European now because it's so amazing. Like you learned something from that. I was on the phone with somebody yesterday, day before, about a relationship, right, that ended and how
this is the BLT.
I know. No. But it's important in general. Just like it's like, oh, that time is lost. That time is wasted. You know, like, oh, like we didn't work out. Which, yes, on the front end, like it sucks when your life plans change, your plans with a person change, when your friends change, whatever. But inherently, there is a lesson to be learned. Whether that was like, you know, you developing as a person, like what you want out of this world, what you're good or what you're bad at, how to love somebody, how to let somebody love you, like how you're going to be able to interact with people. Like all those things are like incredibly powerful. And I'm so glad you said something about like the whole North Star thing, because I only just started like verbalizing it this last week about like what my North Star was.
What's your North Star?
I thought that like my purpose in life was, you know, to be a mentor to young people, right? To help them be who they want to be because the same people that did that to me. And like education is huge into that, like developing young people. But I think I realized that it's like so much more broad. And that my North Star is just more along the fact that like I want to make a difference in this world by being a leader for them, and by being able to, going back, like to help empower people, to make their situation better, or to maybe just be a leadership in the fact that my voice is going to impact the way that somebody is living their life in whatever shape or form that is. And so it was weird, kind of like taking a step back from like the micro to the macro of like my North Star is literally just like leadership and advocacy. Yeah. There's even there's a 3-word acronym that I came up last year as a joke, but I put it in my Instagram handle last week because I think it is like sums up that North Star. It's educate, advocate, and collaborate. EAC, exactly.
If I had a air horn. Boop, boop, boop,
I know.
Yeah,
and
that was pretty fire.
And it's so weird because, you know, at the beginning of Archer, it was like, I'm going to come to DC. I'm here because I don't want to find a teaching job over Christmas break. You know, I was going to teach for a couple years, go to grad school, maybe go work at a college, be a university president. Like, yay. Like, that's like the end goal in life. And then like randomly the other day, I woke up and was like, I've never thought about law school since high school, but like, what kind of like change or what kind of life would I have if I went to law school and did like education law or like worked in advocacy or in like a government organization or public service with a law degree? I was like, I went to work that day. I came back. I had a conversation with Chris for like an hour. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. The next morning, my former mentor that I haven't spoken to in over a year and a half was the one that recruited me to go to UTPB to be a music major, like is entirely the reason why I'm graduating debt-free, but I haven't talked to him in so long. He called me to say, Brandon, you are going to be the best, if not a really good teacher, but that's not your path.
Wow.
He's like,
that's the universe.
He's like, you need to go to law school. You need to do this and that because I don't think you understand like how much you have to offer. And I was like, dude, you got some crazy thing about timing.
And what prompted him to call you?
Yeah.
He didn't say.
Huh. That is
the universe. It was so weird. And so like my life kind of trajectory in my mind is like constantly evolving now, and I'm getting so much more comfortable with that. Like our parents or our grandparents, maybe the older generation was always big about like find a career, stick with it, work for 30 years, get that retirement, work your way up the company, like, you know, stability.
Yeah.
And stability is important as well as like how much money you're making, unfortunately. But these days it's so empowering to see that people are able to stay for a year or two until they've taken all that they can and moving to the next opportunity. So like right now, this is going to change maybe before the next podcast. But like as of yesterday and like this whole random conversations with people, it's like, dang, what if I go and teach for 2 years and I get all out of that? And if I'm ready to move on to the next thing, maybe it's law school. Like I'm going to go to law school. And then after that, who knows? But I know that at the end of the day, the coolest things, the biggest, like highest reaching things I could do is like university president, working in Congress, doing something like at the really high level that has to do with like leadership, education, advocacy, and collaboration. You know, that could change tomorrow. I think mapping your life, it's cool to have like aspirations, but mapping your life is impossible. And I think we're all like, kind of a testament to that. And what I mean by impossible is you can be really driven and be really motivated, but regardless, life is going to have its own curveballs, and you're going to run into those situations where you're like, you know, I grew up all my life wanting to be a nurse, but maybe I want to be an engineer. Like,
right.
It's so weird. Life is random.
Yeah, but I feel like even if they do throw those curveballs, it's like, can you still remain driven and motivated?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it goes two ways.
Yeah.
So not having your self-worth tied to plans changing or maybe like a new idea, I think is really important. Everyone's going to have their own drive. Everyone's going to have their own experience. And those people that woke up at 5 years old and said they wanted to be a race car driver and worked their whole life and are a race car driver, that's amazing. But so are the people that woke up and were like, I'm going to be a cowboy.
Yeah.
Like I did whenever I was 5 years old. And then like, I don't know, moving to 100 million different things. Like that's also really cool.
Yeah.
And I think society is increasingly being more receptive to that, which is cool.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Completely agree.
Dang,
Same. I'm marinating. I'm thinking, but that was a good spiel.
Yeah.
EAC. Let's like get it tattooed or something.
If you want a tattoo, I've never gotten one. I'll do it.
No. Honestly, Kim Kardashian has a tattoo now, like some lip tattoo or something. But she said a quote one time that was like, "Why would you put a bumper sticker on a Bentley?" And I was like, "Wait, why is that kind of a good point?" And then why am I taking life advice from Kim Kardashian? I've never watched like Keeping Up with the Kardashians, but
You've never watched it?
no. I mean, I've probably seen like clips of it online.
You're not missing much.
Yeah.
Maybe the memes that come from it.
I kind of like it.
I don't know. I haven't
funny.
watched a lot of reality TV. I haven't watched a lot of TV in general.
Yeah.
That's like a consistent thing. My best friend was actually visiting me over spring break, and we were talking about that like neither of us are very media literate. Not that I have bad media literacy, but just in terms of like the latest show, movie, things like that. I have not seen it. Like you literally referenced something earlier on this podcast, Vice, Dick Cheney. Haven't seen it. Haven't even heard of it. I know Dick Cheney the human, but like not. I don't know. And I feel disconnected from pop culture when people are like, I don't know, the newest waves of things. And you can literally list things right now and be like, have you seen this? And I'll unfortunately probably be no.
Is that by choice?
No, it's just, okay, well, first of all, I don't watch a lot of TV. This might be easy to guess, unfortunately, but I was not allowed to watch TV growing up. Like, not only just
same.
SpongeBob, but like all the Disney shows. So think like and then even I say Disney shows, but sometimes I mean like Nickelodeon, and I don't know the difference because I wasn't allowed to watch them. But like iCarly,
I was too poor for
Victorious.
TV most of my life.
Okay, well, look at us, 3 young people in a generation bonded by the early 2000s media scene, none of whom participated in it.
Yeah.
No, I'm being so serious. Like, it is such a thing that like the old Disney shows, like I feel like the Hannah Montanas and like, I don't know, Wizards of Waverly Place. I'm just saying words right now.
Yeah.
I can sing you all the songs because I've done dance my whole life and I've done drill team, but I've never actually like watched it. And I feel like that is so binding of like people who grew up in the age of technology, at least having some baseline. This is me taking the conversation in like a entirely different direction, but like because we live in the age of technology and things cycle through so rapidly, the system kind of like folds in on itself in terms of relatability. When we think about past eras, we think about them in whole chunks. The 70s, the 80s. But like, to me, I don't know about you two, the aesthetic and like what was popular in 2014 is distinctly different than what was popular in 2016.
Right.
Like I can very much outline, I don't know, neither of you guys are makeup wearers, but like the makeup.
How do you know?
Because you have these lovely natural freckles that you don't put anything over.
Stop it.
Brennan's getting red right now.
But anyways, that is just, I don't know, the way it is, consumerism, capitalism, society. Oh, is it time? Oh, things are ringing. Life moves very rapidly, and it seems to move more rapidly the more like access to information and people we have. And I feel like that baseline of connection can sometimes be lost, and it came from simple things like having those early TV shows. And so it's honestly comforting to me in a way to be sitting with other people who I think are like smart and interesting, and also relate to other people that are like in our age group but did not have that same foundation, because like I know that I didn't.
You want to know a secret?
What?
When someone is like, oh my God, do you remember that episode of SpongeBob? The answer is always like, oh yeah, kinda. Like, yeah, it's been a while. Knowing damn well I haven't seen that episode of SpongeBob.
But they'll still explain it to you, and you'll still be there like, yeah.
No, I think it's, I mean, I grew up with like movies instead. Like we watched a lot of DVDs and like that's why I'm a big Star Wars fan, because I was like the full box set that we had like on VHS.
Also
and
never
DVD.
seen that.
I know.
Never seen
we'll
that.
get over it.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's hard for me to judge those. Like I'll joke and be like, oh my God, Natalie, you haven't seen XYZ. But at the same time, there's so much that I haven't. I guess the follow-up question I have is like, what do you do with your free time then? Do you read? Do you work? Do you sing in the shower? Like,
I do sing in the shower.
Nice.
Honestly, shout out to my Archer roommates for normalizing that, because without even else knowing each other, my roommates independently, they just sing in the shower. Like, this is me outing them right now, and they're good too. Like, it would be different if it was like horrible and I hated listening to them, but I love listening to them. And I feel like I would only sing in the shower. You guys are laughing. Sorry.
I'm just imagining you telling them to shut up if it was bad. Like,
no, but like, I don't know. I mean, Maddie's a singer. She sings all the time. Like, she's like always harmonizing and stuff like that. Chloe and Molly are like sing the average amount, like at a bar, or, like with friends. But all of them sing in the shower, and I feel like I would only do that if it were like me home alone, or just like when. And it's not even because I think I'm a terrible singer. I just like don't put it at the forefront of like, oh, I'm amazing at singing.
Right.
But the fact that none of them needed any time to like feel comfortable, and they just like did what makes them happy, I was kind of like, lit. Maybe I should sing in the shower. So, anyways, not that that's a main hobby, but what do I do with my free time? I definitely. This is gonna sound like so broad, but I love talking to people, just like connecting with people. Very much an extrovert, very much prefer to like spend time with other people as opposed to myself. Obviously there's like, you know, a upper limit to that where it's like you need some time to recharge, but I would say like my most favorite activity to do is just like simply sit on the couch with people and chat with them. There doesn't even need to be like a game on or like a movie or something like that. I'm also never been somebody that likes things in the background. Like I cannot like put on The Office and start doing my work. That's not my vibe. Like whenever I'm with people, I try to make it very intentional time. And so my favorite thing to do with free time is just like connect with people, whether that be forming new relationships or just like cultivating old ones. I feel like as we get older in our lives, we are starting to get friends from different stages of our lives. And I'm so all over the place, but something I've always really admired about my dad is that he keeps in contact with people like my sister's godparents are a friend of his from high school, but he has friends that are like from Virginia, friends that are from business school, friends that are from Texas, friends that are from everywhere. And so it's strange to me to think that like I'm starting to segment out where it's like I'm going to have college friends, I'm going to have Archer friends, I'm going to have high school friends, I'm going to have internship friends, things like that. So anything I can do in my free time to like continue to strengthen those relationships, especially with people that I feel like I have a good connection to, I feel like that's invaluable. But other just like more shallow things, I like to read. I don't do it as often as I should. I do like film. Like I would say I'm more into movies than I am into TV, just because
I can't say the same, but
I have commitment issues to TV shows.
I don't watch enough of them either to really say, but I would say my favorite TV shows are like my comfort shows. So shows that came out a while ago. Like I don't know if you guys have ever seen like New Girl, Gossip Girl, The Good Place, How I Met Your Mother, White Collar, Suits. Everything I just said. Suits is fire. Everything I just said, those are like my faves, and none of those came out in the past like 5 years. In fact, they've all been discontinued for a while. So it takes a lot for me to invest into a new series. Also, this is just a toxic trait of mine, but I cannot stand when people talk during shows and movies unless I've seen it before. And that's why like group setting media, if I'm in the mood to like actually lock in, and it doesn't even need to be like It's like, Natalie, why are you walking into Friends? It's like, because I haven't seen the show before. Like, I want
Walking into Friends. Taking an Adderall before you watch Friends.
No, but like, I just have a very, I guess, like, scatterbrained type of thing. Like, even in my internship right now, and when I go into the office, I wear headphones every day. I put on my headphones and I work. Yeah. Because otherwise, I will start listening to other people's conversations and I'll want to join in. And that's same with the movies. Like, if you're having a side conversation, I want to talk to you. And now suddenly I've missed the plot. And I don't know. But anyways, all that to say, people. I like connecting with people. That's I think the best thing one can do with their time. So it's what I try to do with mine. It's the reason why we're here, like, on Earth. Yeah.
I like what you said about how your dad and even you now, you have like friends from different like periods in your life and you still try to keep up with them.
I'm not the best, but I want to be.
I think I'm horrible at that. I think like, you know, whenever I go into a new period of my life, it's not that I like just forget about the other people that I was just with, but I just like, I'm so focused on like establishing relationships and nurturing relationships that I'm going through now that I just kind of put the others to the side. But now that I hear that you're doing that, I really feel like I need to work on that.
We'll stay friends after Archer.
No,
I'm just going to force you guys to stay friends with me. So
yeah, you definitely reminded me to like hit up my old friends for sure.
It's tough because for the longest time, like on the vein of just like keeping up with people, like I was always the one like initiating contact, like always like whatever. And now I've become the very thing I sought to destroy. And so like, and I blame it on being busy, but it isn't even that. Like people will text me and like, I'll even just like text them and then they'll respond. And then like, I'll either like not read it or not respond for a long time. And then it feels really awkward because I'm like, oh, I forgot to respond. Do I text them a week back, like later? Cause like I get a message and I'm like, oh yeah, I saw it. I'll text them back later. And then I don't.
Yeah, I get that.
And I feel like I make a lot of people mad. But then at the end of the day, I'm also like, why doesn't anybody talk to me? Like, dang, like I wish I had like people I can just like text all day long, and then it doesn't happen. But it's my own fault. Like it's a weird conundrum. But I do like connecting with people is probably the coolest thing about just DC or being a young person. Like just in general. Like Keshav is like the coolest guy to talk to because he is genuinely like just so interested in whatever you have to talk about. Yeah. And always has so many questions. Like I was sitting over there on the couch the other day and he randomly just started like asking me about how like school finance works or just like some very niche like topic. And he'll like get up and he's just like so excited and like so like, and I'm like, this is the coolest part. I wish I had like that skill where I could just like go up to a specific person. Because I don't, you know, I'm always like, oh, I don't want to bother them. Or like, I don't, like, this is weird. I'm just going to be by myself. I'm just going to sit in 211. Like,
no, I get that.
It's fun. It's fun. Would you say that your parents, like how you were raised, like specifically is like contributes to your, I don't know, like love for just like talking to people and not so much like watching a lot of movies and stuff? I know you said you weren't allowed to watch a lot of TV shows, but like, is that like a culture thing, like in your household? Like,
I would say, yeah, absolutely, yes. Oh, hello.
Go for it. Hey, Jeff.
Howdy. We're podcasting. Want to poke your head in the camera?
Yeah, come say hi.
Say hello.
What's the topic?
Everything.
Camera's right there.
Everything. Say hi. Oh, hello.
Howdy.
I'm just here to do LSAT prep, but wanted to drop in, say hello.
The grind never stops.
The grind never stops.
You should hang out. Whatever makes you more comfortable. Or
we're gonna be yapping, but we can probably wind it down. It's almost been like 2 hours.
2 hours?
No, it's been 58 minutes. This one is.
Oh, never mind.
It's just a format thing.
Wait, I actually in my mind believed we had been here for 2 hours because of that.
No, it's fun.
My bad.
We are over the hill though. Like it's fun.
That's amazing. That's so cool. Dang. Setup is like professional too. Holy shit.
No, he's got the tech.
I've got a lot of stuff.
I don't know how you traveled all the way over here with all this.
I had brought my own suitcase over there, full of it.
You have like 2 suitcases just full of tech.
I love that UIL's on your suitcase. God, I love it.
Yeah. That was I was a state poetry interpretation finalist.
Let's go.
Way. That's pretty sick.
I also did UIL. I did competitive UIL journalism in high school. Like,
really?
That's as nerdy as it gets.
I did headline writing.
Me too.
I did that, and I did CX debate.
Okay, yeah, never did debate. I frequently get asked if I was a debate kid. I was not, but people think that.
I mean this
which is probably not a great
in the
thing.
best way possible, but you have the best delivery for a debate.
Really?
Yeah. Have you heard the term spreading?
No.
Spreading? Like
So-
when you're
I
sitting
don't.
down?
I don't even know what that means.
I've heard spreading, but it's
So-
like when guys like
Yeah, when
keep
you
their
like
legs
sit
apart.
like-
So like the norm in debate, especially like these days, is you've got to deliver a lot of information really fast.
Oh, I do talk too
And
fast.
so like I'm not saying you talk too fast. I'm just saying they like rapid fire delivery, but it's very enunciated. Like you have to say it in a way that's clear enough. And so
Yeah.
like especially like in class, like whenever you're like really like hammering out like the points or stuff, you talk very fast, but it's like good enough that I can understand like what it is. And it makes me mad because I judge debate. This is such a aside.
No, I love it.
They're like, I had a team come up to me a couple months ago and was like, what are your paradigms? And do you are you okay with spreading? And I literally told them, I was like, you can talk fast, but I better be able to understand you.
Yeah.
And they would just went up there and were like, and I just sat there like, minus, what are you saying?
What are you saying?
What is this? Like,
So
in
where does
my
the
mind.
term come from? Spreading? Because that.
Oh, because wow, wait, that's clever.
Oh,
you like
okay,
condense
okay.
the words in the way that they would condense their speech.
I didn't even know that. That's what is
Speed reading is what he said. That's
Oh yeah,
crazy.
yeah. Speed reading. Speed reading.
Speed reading.
Speed reading.
Yeah, that's interesting for sure. Never did debate. I think I did UIL as well, but I did actually I don't know if I did UIL. I did this thing called PSIA, which was like a private school thing, and I did like number sense. Did y'all have that in UIL?
I've heard of that.
Oh, yeah,
I've heard
yeah.
of that.
Yeah, so it's like you just do like
Wait, no way.
Conference, like the Syria conference.
Wait, that's lit for the Center for Middle Eastern Studies. Who's hosting it?
Yeah, it's like a bunch of like different organizations.
Wait, that's fire.
But
I'm gonna.
this is, like, hosting it.
Let's lit.
Also, I went to the one with the Prime Minister of Latvia.
Oh, I
Prime
I'm-
Minister of Latvia. Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Wait, I love that.
I meant-
Thank
I
you
saw-
for telling me. Yes, thank you.
I saw the president of Estonia once.
Actually.
He gave a speech at the UT system headquarters.
Oh, you mentioned this.
Yeah, it was very random.
his assistant Ben Dover came over here.
Bend over.
Boy. Boy.
Okay, he's from Sugandese, but
Sugandi.
anyways, yeah,
I can't believe that we're the new adults.
yeah.
I can't believe that this is real.
We just had a whole conversation about life, career, leadership, and then here
We should go
are.
get Wendy's after this.
Wendy's.
Yeah, Wendy's.
Guys, I need.
Okay.
I was like, they stopped at 4 for 4. What's the reason to go to Wendy's? Yeah, I did number sense. It was like the most Asian thing you could do. It was like really,
On
really,
brand.
yeah, really very on brand, very, very fast math. Oh, I was a Kumon child growing up.
Okay.
Yeah, I also did this thing
I
called
see you.
Chinese math. It was literally called Hawaii, but we called it Chinese math because it was a bunch of Chinese people that taught us math. But they were okay with us calling that.
Very
so.
on the nose.
Yeah, I don't know if that's very PC like in these
Go for
days,
it.
but yeah, they liked it.
I mean, if they were fine with you calling it to them, but also you were a child, so I
Yeah.
don't know. I also
Yeah.
don't know what you're talking about, so I really have no place to speak on it.
It was literally like boot camp for children for math, literally.
Dude, they made you into a hustler.
Yeah, dude. Like
Now look at you.
You do like 5 word problems and then do 50 push-ups and then
What?
No, you didn't do that. You might as well have made me do that. I hated it.
Mental push-ups.
Yeah, no, literally.
Yeah.
How good were you at your times tables?
I knew
Excellent.
my times tables by preschool. Yeah.
Wait, okay, I was not that excellent. My dad
Yeah.
did make me memorize like squares though, so I could like do up to 22. Don't quiz me, or you can. I don't know if I still have it up there, but we
Yeah.
would do like Monday math because sometimes he would drive my sister and I to school. We would normally take the bus, but like I don't know, just some days on Mondays, I guess he didn't have work.
Yeah.
But instead of having like, oh, like how's your week going, honey, it would be like, what's 9 squared? So just
Wow.
to like make sure that we still knew.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah. I knew how to count to 1,000,000 before I knew how to read.
Wait, that's insane.
Yeah.
I'm not quite like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. The Indian dad comes out sometimes in instances like that.
Yeah.
I was more in the reading vein. Like I read like a novel a day, like as a kid.
Yeah.
Just crazy because like worked my way up. Was AR champion, like top reader for a long time.
Nice.
I got to high
believe that.
school, I got to high school. The last book I checked out was called Unbreakable. It was like a World War II book they made into a movie. And that was the first semester of my freshman year. And I hadn't checked out a book since then or read an entire novel since freshman year of high school, which is terrifying, especially like I've done a lot of audiobooks, several audiobooks. I have books that I've like started reading. Gosh, it's so terrible. And the most ironic part was like my junior and senior year, I was in the library every day because I was like best friends with the librarian and her daughter.
Fire.
And
my mom works in a library, so that's fire.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then like, especially when I started doing debate, I wouldn't even go to lunch anymore because I'd just be in the library like doing debate.
Nerd.
So I went to graduate. and you know, you're so weird. And I guess in Texas, your library record follows you if you change schools, which I changed several schools.
I've never changed schools, but I believe you.
I looked at my thing and it was like a very large number, like several hundred books, if not like 1,000 books I've read. And I was like, oh, you know, Ms. Hemphill, it's hilarious. I haven't checked out a book since freshman year of high school. She's like, crazy. You've been here every dang day. You haven't checked out a book. Like, how am I supposed to get more books? Like, if no people like. Anyway,
I can't really talk bad about that because I feel like the same way y'all talk about TV shows, having commitment issues to TV shows is like my thing with like books. Like I could be reading like a book about like, you know, consistency and motivation, and I won't even finish the book.
And then you stop it.
Yeah, I just stop the book because I'm like not motivated enough to finish the book, even though I'm reading about motivation. Yeah.
Wait, that's actually so like. I feel like that's kind of valid because if you feel like you're getting what you need to from it, I think a book, all topics you could stop, but especially one that's in like the self-help type of category. Yeah. If you feel like it's not helping you, then it's actually defeating the purpose of spending your time doing that. So if there were a book to give up on, it should be something in like the consistency, motivation type of space.
Exactly.
This is going to sound, I'm going to sound like an a-hole saying this, but like I felt the same way.
We already thought it.
Yeah, I know. I felt the same way kind of in therapy.
Wow. Just wait. Is this the tea part?
I love therapy. Like it was great. I need to go back. Anyway.
Therapy is great. Therapy is great. Shout out therapy.
Yeah, therapy's good.
But even, like same thing with like reading like self-help books or just stuff in general is I feel like I already know the answers in a lot of ways. So like it was very hard for me to approach like therapy in a way that was like, oh wow, like I've never heard this before. Like, 'cause you've heard how to do this.
Yeah.
I will say though, there is something special about like, it's so weird, like just hearing somebody else say it and be like, oh my god, they're right. Like for example, I give the best relationship advice in so many ways, shapes, or form. Am I good at relationships? No. Do I follow my own life advice? No. However, if someone was going to tell me the same thing, I'd be like, damn, he's cooking. Like
he's doing really
it's
well.
So I wish we had like a psychology major friend if there was like something that could describe that. Just like a lot of things.
It's like the opposite of the Dunning-Kruger effect. You know what I'm talking about? That effect. Okay.
I don't know what Dunning-Kruger is.
The gist of that effect, if don't quote me, or maybe Brandon can like override my words with the correct definition. But my understanding of it is that people think they're better at things than they actually are. But you were saying the opposite of that, whereas like you are better at things when they're applying to other people, but when it actually comes to yourself, you're not. I don't know. Maybe I'm misrepresenting. No. Now I have to. Ask what this is.
I think it's different knowing something. And then it's also very different hearing someone tell you something that you know.
Yes. I have the definition for you.
Oh, yeah, please.
The Dunning-Kruger in psychology is a cognitive bias whereby people with limited knowledge or competence in a given intellectual or social domain, so in this case, relationships, greatly overestimate their own knowledge or competence in that domain relative to the objective criteria or the performance of their peers. So basically, like, when you are not good at something, but just because you're you think it makes all the sense in the world because you think about it, I think in a way for therapy, you're saying like, not just you, but I completely agree with that. I haven't been to therapy in a long time. Again, I should go back to it. Therapy's great, big proponent of therapy. But as people who are intellectual and just like process your emotions, it would be surprising if I heard somebody else say something that was completely novel to me, which makes me think like, oh, I've heard this before. I've thought about it before. It's not really like, not that it's not worth my time, but it's not like earth shattering in the way that I was hoping it would be. But the opposite of that, when you're talking about relationships, is like you give all the best advice, but relative to the objective criteria, you're not actually meeting it because it's coming from your own head. That's what I was trying to make by that. But
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, Dunning-Kruger.
Dunning-Kruger.
But that's not my favorite effect. My favorite effect is the Bader-Meinhof effect, which is where you learn something new and then suddenly it's everywhere. So like, a new word, a new like type of car or something.
Yes.
And it was always there, but because it's on your mind, you notice it and you're like, whoa. And I'm not talking about like something that's recently trending. I'm talking about like, I don't know, just like a food you've never heard of before, and then you notice it next time you go out to the restaurant on a menu. Like you wouldn't have noticed it before, but because it was in your head, it's like it's overrepresented in like your brain function of what you are observing.
No, I get that because I had
all the time.
I had a friend like I feel like I'd never seen like the Volkswagen Beetles like up until like maybe like my senior year of high school, and I had a friend who loved doing punch buggies. So every single time I would get punch buggy, and then like from there on out, I think I saw like at least like 3 or 4 a day. But
you never
swear,
would have seen it
I
before.
I swear they were not a thing before like my senior year of high school. So interesting.
Well, I was prepared to do this like controversial opinion section, but it seems like they're all like career related, which is kind of boring.
Controversial.
We're
I
gonna
can give you controversial opinions.
Oh, do it.
I'll just brainstorm some. Well, I don't know. You said that we were going to talk about like advice, so this is like opinion / advice, but controversial opinions. If you are questioning whether or not you should get into a relationship, the answer is no. That is coming from somebody who is in like a very long-term relationship, which I'm like very happy and very love, but I'm just like making an assumption about your audience is that it's young. If it's like ever a question about whether or not you should or should not, the answer is should not, because if you know that you should, then you will. So that's controversial thing number one.
Okay.
I don't know. You disagree with that. You disagree with that.
No,
I want to know.
I think maybe things might not be as black and white, but I think in
of course.
in like a general sense, yeah, I think that you're correct. But I think there are a lot of external factors that could be contributing to that as to like why do you think that, or like if you're like I don't know if I should get with this person, like I just don't know, like it wouldn't even be something that's like, is this person bad or is this person good? It could be something like external that you're just psyching yourself out for too.
Yes.
So
let me refine my original statement.
Yeah.
Not about a person in particular, but about like the concept of being in a relationship, about like being cuffed or being single.
Yeah, that's an issue.
At least I feel like I'm surrounded by people who always feel like the grass is greener. Most people who are in relationships are happy to be there, like myself included, because that's what they want. But I speak to many people who are like wishing that they were in a relationship. And I feel like that leads to oversimplification of like what you actually want, and also the tendency to overlook flaws in other people because you like
listen up.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Because you want to be like in an idealized version of something so badly that I don't know. I am painting with very broad strokes in saying this. I'm just saying that for me, I was not expecting to be in this position in life where like I'm young, like I'm 21 and like I'm in a relationship that's pretty serious, that like who knows what will happen, but like gun to my head, if you ask me like do I think it's going to be forever, like I would say yes. That is not a position that I would want anybody else to take, because that's what they want for themselves. If they feel like that, they will feel it naturally. They should not be seeking that out, because like at this stage in our lives, it should be very much about like your own personal growth and like your career, and just about things that make you a better you before you can be a better to anybody else.
Yeah.
That's what I meant by that. But I totally agree about like the factors within another person that you should always like take nuance. I just mean like the concept of a relationship. If you know you want one, it's because you'll be in it. You shouldn't be like going out to seek that, because you will inevitably end up disappointed.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that.
Or with someone else.
100% agree with that. Because I think even if you do like, if you're like, I don't know if I want to be in a relationship, but then you do end up jumping into a relationship,
right,
it always creates problems. Always 100% creates problems later on down the road.
Speaking from experience, are we?
Yeah, just a little bit, just a little bit, but yeah. I don't know if I have any controversial opinions that I really want to say on a podcast.
Getting spicy.
I don't know.
Well, you can say like a hot take. We normally do like hot takes and stuff at the end.
A hot take.
So, I mean, is there anything else like that you guys really want to get off your chest, just in general, like about DC, your life advice, before we jump to the end, which is kind of like the capstone of this?
I'll say something about DC. I've never been in a city that I've loved this much. My parents came to the city like literally just this past week. They were here for the entire week, and they were also telling me about how they love the city too. And we've been to like all sorts of cities in the world, like all throughout Europe, all throughout Asia, all throughout the US. And I think the people here are really what makes it. The walkability of the city is really what makes it.
Love a walkable city.
Yeah,
Yes.
the vibes are just impeccable here. People are all super friendly. Everyone's like on a different path. I was talking about this. It was probably with you. Everyone is on like a different path here, but everyone like has a common like theme of they want to make a difference in the world. And I think that's just really, really nice to see if you also resonate with that. And yeah, the city's just gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's a little expensive. The food's not that great, but I love the city.
And the cherry blossoms.
Yeah, the
Yes,
cherry blossoms.
cherry blossom
Oh my
season,
God.
y'all.
My first time, actually my second time seeing cherry blossoms in real life, but like it never ceases to take my breath away.
Yeah.
So
Well, I'll ask you both this question.
Mhm.
Like, what? Now that we're over the hill, like Archer, unfortunately, Dylan gives us the countdown every day, and it
Right?
makes me so sad.
Stresses me
Yeah.
out, bro. But it's good. It's a good reminder.
Yeah.
You know, we've got like just over 30 days left in this program, and so we're still learning a lot of things. But what would you say is like, whether professionally, socially, personally, like what are your biggest takeaways of like a study abroad but still in the United States? You know, this whole like
A study across, if
a
you
study
will.
across. That's
Study
what
across,
I was looking
yeah.
for.
Study
I've
across
been
is
saying
cool.
that to all my friends.
Yeah,
Like,
doing study across
when
right
you're
now.
when you're thinking about this 10 years down the road, what do you anticipate like will be your biggest takeaways? Like what you took away from this program?
You want to go first?
Sure. I would answer that in a few different ways, but overall, my biggest takeaway from this is going to be a quote that my friend Patrick told me, so I got a shout out to him. He was an exchange student in the U.S. He was in my sophomore spring from Germany. He was actually getting his MBA, so like he's like 26 and I was like 20 when I met him, so like, we were still young, but he was in like a different path of life than me. And the reason I met him is he was just subletting from one of my other friends' apartments. And the quote that he said, which I feel like is very applicable to Archer, is, "Who can we expect to be brave if not us?" And he said that to me in the context of me deciding whether or not I was going to do more business or more sustainability stuff. One of them garners a lot more respect and a lot more salary, but one of them is like my passion. And I think that really applies to the people in DC, that they are being quote unquote brave. If you are in a position where you feel like you can do mission-driven work, and I don't even mean work in the career sense, work in cultivating relationships, work in improving yourself, who can you expect to be brave if not yourself? You have to be the one that's willing to put in the work, and you're not selling out or you're not like straying from a path if you change your mind, but you do need to like stay true to your values and stay true to like let the North Star to tie it all back. So
yeah.
I think Archer really exemplifies that, because you're around a lot of other people who, even if they wouldn't phrase it as succinctly as I did, I think have that same type of mindset. So my biggest takeaway from this looking back will always be how grateful I was to be surrounded by people, not only in this program, but in this city and in my job, that are also working towards something greater, because they know that they can't rely on anybody else to make those changes. They need to go out and do them. And that's what Archer's for. And that's what I'm here to do as well.
Yeah, that's a great answer. I think like, yeah, kind of piggybacking off of her, maybe I think the biggest thing that I'll take from Archer is really the people that I've met, especially our cohort. But I think if you ask everyone,
We're like the best cohort of all time.
yeah, I know.
Spring 24 forever.
Yeah, I always ask like the administrators, I'm like, were all the other cohorts like this close to each other? Because I feel like none of us like really butt heads like that.
No, they beefed. The reason we do empathy training is because
Yes.
2 or 3 cohorts ago, they actually like fought.
I heard about that. So
Not us.
I don't know. Yeah, our cohort, like everyone just loves each other, which is really cool. Everyone's really, really successful in what they want to do. Like my roommate, shout out my roommate. He's going to Harvard, or he got into Harvard Law.
Yeah,
He got into
Edward.
UVA, got into
Yeah.
NYU. He's like really
Wait,
successful.
I didn't even know about NYU. That's
yeah.
awesome.
So like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was just like a casual email for him, but like, you know, I see people experiencing things that I truly want to experience in my life, and I think that's really, really motivating for me. And then I know that like 10 years down the line, even though we only spent like 4 months with each other, like it's like a lifelong friendship.
No, we're locked in. Especially people who are hopefully going to stick around in the city, because like a lot of us want to have our careers here.
Yeah.
And this is something that I was thinking earlier. We were talking about Archer. I feel like the benefits of this program fully have yet to be realized. Like there's a whole community out there, future people that are going to be in it, other people that are living in the city. It's just like a stamp that you have with you forever that will connect you to people that you know are at least some degree similar to you. So I would totally agree. The people are making the experience a million times
Like,
better than it would be on your own.
Everyone is super friendly here, which I really love. Everyone's really smart. And then also, I think being in DC, it's really like kind of like shown me the importance of backing up what you say with like what you do. Like there's a famous quote, like, if not now, then when? And I think like sometimes you have a lot of things in your mind about what you want to do, and you have like this like set path, and you're telling people like, oh, like, you know, I want to do this, I want to be this when I get older. But there's a difference between like telling people things and then actually going out and doing them. And DC is like a city where you can go out and get it like a lot easier than you would be able to in like Dallas or, you know, Austin, or I mean, Austin's a little bit easier, but like DC is like the center of like everything.
Heartbeat of the nation.
Yeah. It's like it's literally the heartbeat of the nation. Like, so you can go and get it like in DC, which is amazing. That's what I love about this city.
Yeah. I think the primary one is obviously the people. I'm like a sappy, like empath kind of like, oh, let's sing songs and like do stuff together. But just like,
and that's awesome, by the way.
Yeah.
That's a great trait to have.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's like even just like being able to make core memories, like with either of you yesterday, like going to go throw a Frisbee on the lawn, like at sunset on the Capitol, like lawn, going to go
beautiful.
eat sushi, like my first ever like revolving sushi place the other day,
No,
or just like in general, like there's so many like very random, like cute, like movie scene, like just random things that have happened here that are like, damn, like I'm gonna remember this for like ever.
It doesn't feel real.
Yeah,
It really does not feel real. It feels like I'm in a movie.
yeah.
Which it's going to suck when I go back to Plano, but
Retweet.
yeah.
But I hope that at least whenever you're in that existence, we're going to all be better about reaching out to our friends in different phases of life. So you're going to be like Plano with a twist of Zach DC. Like it's still, you're still going to have like the conversations you had, they're just in a different setting, or they might have to be virtual, but like, it'll be hopefully not a completely stagnant shift. Like you will be like your mind is still here even if your body is there.
Oh, of course.
I've already committed to a couple days over the summer in the DFW area to see archer
Really?
people. So,
okay.
yeah, I don't know when or where, but
Yeah.
Cool.
You're going to have to come say hello. I mean, we're all in Dallas.
Literally.
Really.
Yeah.
So.
I'm
same with
inserting
Austin.
myself into these plans.
Yeah.
You should.
No, please.
And
Please.
then I think professionally, it's the fact, like, we talked about this in class the other day, but there's like this like ominous fog over DC and like the center of power and like the hub of everything in the United States. And so being here and like seeing through the fog, it's like the people here are normal people, and they're so much more similar to the rest of us than like we could even think. Like sitting down with somebody like Deborah Rutter, the president of the Kennedy Center, you're like, oh my God, like she's like the top of her game.
Yeah.
But like she's so chill.
Yeah.
Like all these people are in positions of power because they were in the right place at the right time and happened to make a choice or series of choices that led them there. And I'm not saying like, oh, like they don't deserve to be there. Like that could have been anybody, but at the same time, like it is so achievable to be successful here. You know, like even half the people that I work with, you know, the supervisors at my job, like the people that have been working at the Kennedy Center for, you know, over 20 years were an intern like me that came from the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And now they're like running the show. And it's just really cool to see that this place isn't as scary or like mysterious as it used to be. Like, granted, there's a lot of stuff that goes down here, and I'm not going to talk about politically, like all the stuff that happens like behind closed doors.
Yeah.
But it is such a young, it's such a youthful, and it's such like I don't know, it's an interesting place to be.
Yeah.
And I think it boosts a lot of confidence to show that like, oh, everyone here comes from a non-traditional background. A lot of people, you know, like even just the people we've spoken to, like the CFO of the White House.
Yeah. He did not have anything to do with finance.
Loved that
or,
guy.
Literally,
He was awesome and talked to us about ice cream.
I know. He like his background just briefly was like, oh, I've been training to go to law school my entire life. I was like sitting in on court cases all throughout high school in my free time. I graduated from UT and I was going to go to UT Law because I knew I was going to get in.
And then I got rejected.
But then like I got rejected and I randomly just helped people like establish this Archer program. And then I got asked to stay around a little while. And now I work for Joe Biden as the CFO of the White House. And before that, like.
Definitely an inspiring story.
I know.
To say the least.
So, oh my God, I just unplugged my headphones. Well, this is embarrassing.
It's okay. It's our sign that we're winding down.
Yeah.
We are. So I'll say this. Before we end, the most classic part of this podcast is a media recommendation, and then either a word of parting advice or a hot take that we can mull over and people can be angry about after the podcast ends. So
Okay, cool. I need to think about my recommendation, so I'm going to pass it to Zach.
you already have your recommendation. I think I know what it is.
TV show recommendation. This is in no particular order, but Succession, Suits, Billions, and I just started one just now called The Gentleman.
Oh, never heard of that.
It has Theo James in it.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
I watched
show.
the first episode with him.
Yeah, it's an amazing show.
Is Theo James 4 from Divergent?
I think so. He's like the main guy. He's one of the main guys. He's like brunette. I'll show you what he looks like.
He's a good-looking Brit.
Yeah, he's a good-looking man. Movies. I just watched a movie with some of my friends last night that I've seen 6 times. It's called The Gray Man. It's got Ryan Gosling in it. Super good movie. Everybody that I showed to is they love it. Don't believe the Rotten Tomatoes. Look at the audience score. Some parting advice. I think a lot of the times it's very, very easy to get stuck in your head about what you think you should be doing and seeing other people and what they've done with their lives. And I think that sometimes you can psych yourself out by looking at other people and what they've done with their lives, because some people are very, very successful. I've been a little bit guilty of this, but don't ever wish that you were someone else. Go and be yourself, be original. That's what people love to see. Like me, when I stopped going to school and I was working construction, for the longest time I was so worried about what other people would think about me, and I was like, man, people are gonna think I'm a failure. People are gonna think I'm an idiot, that I'm not successful. But now here I am an archer, and I'm telling people my story, and they love my story. They're like, wow, that's so cool.
It is.
So yeah, just a little bit of advice.
Love that.
I lost my headphones there, and so I thought that your microphone was working.
No, it's going.
But obviously y'all can hear it, and so that was really awkward. I would just put my microphone in your face.
That's okay.
Sorry about
No, it's good.
Great advice.
Yeah.
Great advice, by the way.
Thank you.
Your media picks, fire. I haven't seen Gray Man, but I need to.
I've seen it
apparently.
6 times, and it came out last year.
Oh,
What?
really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought. I've never heard of it, but
Yeah, no,
6 times in a year is impressive.
Yeah, it was number 1 on Netflix for a while.
Respect.
What?
Okay, well, I've never seen it either, so
Mhm.
we're gonna have to watch it.
Mhm.
I know. I have realized another takeaway from Archer is that I need to catch up on movies
Yeah.
specifically.
Yeah.
My movie recommendation, my media recommendation. Well, I've got two, I guess. The movie is so popular right now. It's not even a hot take or anything. It's Dune 2.
Mhm.
So I
Haven't
saw
seen
that. Saw that this weekend. Dune 1, I was like, oh yeah, this is a cool sci-fi movie, great Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya. I guess I'll watch the next one. But I went with my dad this week to a 4DX theater here in downtown Chinatown. 4DX. So you don't wear glasses, thank God. But it's one of those you sit in a seat and the seat moves like a roller coaster almost.
Wow.
It was whoa,
Wow, okay.
There's fans and light effects and there's a scent component, and then they're getting in sword fights and someone will get stabbed in the back and something will poke you in the back.
Oh,
Bro, it was epic though. It
I
was.
don't know if I would be into that.
I don't know if I want to get stabbed.
It scares you, but it was epic. And then
Cool.
the most quintessential. It's not even a spoiler because it was in the trailer or whatever. The most one of the bigger moments of the whole movie is that Paul, who's the main character played by Timothée Chalamet, rides a sandworm.
A sandworm.
Epic thing.
Okay.
I'll show you a picture after this.
Okay.
Huge giant beast, and you're riding the worm with him. With the chair,
Pause.
Oh,
dude.
Yeah. Hella pause. Let's rewind that a little bit.
Anyway, so it was really, really cool situation, and I'm sure even without that weird immersion, it would have been a really good movie. So y'all should watch it out.
Yeah.
Cool.
A lot of just really cool world building, special effects, and the craziest part to me was that they made the movie for less than $200 million, which for any sci-fi movie that has come out in
That's
the last
pretty crazy.
10 years,
Yeah.
That's like half the budget.
Yeah.
And
because I know like avatars are like millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah, I think it was like $600 or $800 million, if not like $1 billion, to develop the newest Avatar movie.
Jeez.
Wow.
Anyway, really good movie. The second recommendation, just because I haven't done a podcast since then, was I speed ran Demon Slayer with the homies. Zach kind of got pulled onto it.
Yeah, I don't like anime though.
It's the first anime I ever watched.
Same.
And
You should watch People say Death Note is a good starter anime. It's also the only anime I've ever seen. But as someone who's not a big anime person, I was like, oh, maybe anime's cool. So
yeah.
I don't know.
I've heard it's like Demon Slayer like isn't like the greatest plot of all time, but it was really good for me. Visually very stunning.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
Yeah,
and
interesting visuals.
We both really loved it. And then I went and saw the movie with these guys. So yeah, you should watch Demon Slayer. It's really good. Just don't speedrun it in like 3 days.
It was like 2 days.
Yeah, it was incredible. And then the life advice I have is a quote. It is so overdone. But this week there was a Starship launch, which Starship is the new spaceship that's going to take people back to the moon and to the Mars, built by SpaceX. Super crazy stuff. But there's this quote called per aspera ad astra, and I sing a song in choir that was called Ad Astra, and this quote literally means through hardship to the stars. Per aspera ad astra. I'm not going to say it correctly because I'll just sound per aspera ad astra.
Okay, that was pretty good.
Anyway,
I like it.
Yeah.
It's a really quintessential, like, just like, I don't know, pretty common, like, oh, that's a good quote thing, but life is full of challenges. We've all found hardships in our own ways, but we look to the stars, both physically, figuratively.
Yeah.
Whatever our aspirations are, whatever our North Star is,
North Star.
through hardship to the stars. That's my life advice.
Nice.
I love that. Okay, I'll keep mine brief because I know we're going to the end. My media recommendations are actually songs. I didn't know it was going to be shows or movies, but
it can be anything.
My media of choice is definitely music, so I've got a few song recommendations. Smaller, my VV Recon, Love in Japan by Ethan Tash, and Touching Yourself by The Japanese House are three of my favorite songs from the month of February. I know it's March now, but The Japanese House is like a pretty big artist, but the other two have like less than 10,000 listeners on Spotify. The first one is a little bit more like alt rock. The second one is very like indie pop. So a variety of genres there. And then I have three main pieces of advice. Number one, call your parents. They miss you. Even if you live at home with them, give a text with them. They miss you. You're doing a lot of cool stuff with your life. And I get busy too, but like it means so much more to them than it does to you to just simply take the time to prioritize your family or even the people that are your chosen family. They care about you. Reach out to them. Number two, movies are a really bad idea for a first date. You can't talk to people. So if you're going to go on a first date, go get a meal or go do an activity. But going to get a movie does not let you connect with that person. And number three, and more philosophically, since the theme of this podcast seems to be about North Stars, it's okay if you don't know what your North Star is, but whenever you have time to like invest in yourself and figure out what matters the most to you, letting that inform the rest of your life is the most surefire recipe to be happy. So as much as you can do to figure that out, I think it'll benefit you in the future the best that you can.
Boom.
Yeah.
Well, friends,
Nice.
that was incredible. We've now reached the end of our journey here together on the BLT podcast. That was speechless.
Fun.
Insert Hamilton song here. But a heartfelt thankful to you, Zach and Natalie.
Thank you, Brandon.
For your
Yeah,
stories,
thank you
your
for having
dreams,
us.
Yeah.
your wisdom that you've gathered on your paths. Like whoever listens to this, I'm sure will be a better person, or at least have a little feel good moment, at least sometime during the podcast. And this is going to be cheesy, but as the cherry blossoms in DC remind us of the beauty and the transience of every moment, our conversation today has also been a testament to the importance of embracing our experiences. So whether that be blooming through success or through failure. So thank you for tuning in, everybody. Don't forget to check out the media recommendations shared today, as well as our own social media. Follow the BLT podcast on Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. Until next time, keep seeking those moments that challenge you, grow you, and make you feel alive. This is Brandon signing off from the BLT podcast. Stay curious, stay connected, and as always, keep brewing your unique blend of life. Goodbye. Per aspera ad astra.